Good day, everyone. Welcome everyone back to Literary Academy. Last week, we were able to look at some of the figures of speech in literature. Last week, we were able to look at the meaning of simile, examples of simile. We were able to look at the meaning of metaphor, examples of metaphor, personification, synecdoche, where I said synecdoche is not synedoche. People do call it synecdoche. It is not synecdoche, it is synecdoche. Now, apart from that, we also look at the meaning of euphemism. So we did 6 figures of speech last week. So today we want to do 3 more, which will make it 9. So next week we'll continue with the remaining. So we'll do that, looking at 3 figures of speech today. 2 of them have to do with sounds, the consonant sound and vowel sound. Repetition of vowel sounds and consonant sound in any literary work. Take, for example, alliteration has to do with the repetition of consonant sound. Why assonance, which is the second one that has to do with sound, has to do with the repetition of vowel sound. So we are looking at alliteration today, assonance, and hyperbole. Those are the figures of speech we want to look at today. Now let's move on. Figures of speech. So the first one we'll do today is alliteration. This figures of speech has to do with sound. And in English, we have 2 types of sound: consonant sound and vowel sound. So we look at this alliteration here has to do with repetition of consonant sound in literary work. It can be in a line of poetry, it can be in any literary work. So alliteration has to do with the initial repetition of sound, initial repetition of consonant sound in any work of art. It can be poem, it can be prose or drama, but most especially in poetry. We use it mostly in poetry. An aspect of poetry or any work of art you discover we are having repetition of consonant sound, initial repetition of consonant sound. What I mean by initial is that at the beginning, when we are having at the beginning the same consonant sound in a single word, then the in a word, and the word that follows immediately is having the same consonant sound at the beginning, which has to do with which will now be the same with the consonant sound we have in the previous word, and we are still having the same consonant sound at the beginning of the word that followed the first word. Then we have alliteration. Then let's write the note. This has to do with the initial repetition of consonant sounds in literary works. So it has to do with initial repetition of consonant sound in literary work. So when we are seeing the same consonant sound at the beginning of two or more words following each other or one another in any work of art, that is when we have alliteration. Let's take a look at an example. So let's look at an example of alliteration. Father Francis fried 5 fresh fishes. Now look at it. Father Francis fried 5 fresh fishes. So look at this sentence. Look at this sentence. Look at, you discover we're having the repetition of consonant sound at the beginning of each word in this sentence. So we are having a repetition of sound 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in this. In fact, we're having it throughout the sentence. That's an alliteration. In some sentences or in some words, you can only have just 2. It can be 2. Don't mind the sentence. Don't mind the example I gave. The example I give here, we are having it throughout here. In some sentences, it can just be 2. It can be 3. Just make sure the repetition of the consonant sound, the initial consonant sound, is up to 2 in words that follow each other or one another in a sentence. It doesn't matter. It's not compulsory. It has to be throughout. The example I gave is we are having it throughout the sentence, but in other sentences, in other sentences in other literary work, when you are coming across it in literary work, it might only be 2 words following each other, or 3 or 4. I only gave this for you to know it can be as much as possible, as many as possible rather. It can be as many as possible. Let it be clear that alliteration has to do with the repetition of consonant sound, the initial repetition of consonant sound. Thank you. Now, our next figures of speech we are looking at today is assonance. Assonance. As I said earlier, the 2 has to do with sound, consonant sound, vowel sound. So this assonance has to do with the repetition of vowel sound in any work of art. When we are having repetition of vowel sound in 2 or more words in any literary work, then we have assonance. We're having repetition of vowel sound. This one has to do with vowel sound. Now let's take a look at the meaning. This is the repetition of vowel sounds in literary works. So this has to do with the repetition of vowel sound. Now let's take a look at an example of assonance. The rain in Spain, the rain in Spain always fall at night. Don't mind me, it doesn't mean rain that falls in Spain is always at night. I only use this as an example. Now look at this now. Rain and Spain. This is, we're having at the middle here where we're having vowel sound, we're having the repetition of the same vowel sound here. If you look at this now, the vowel sound we are having here is a diphthong. Sound A. Sound A. Sound A. Thank you. So we are having the same vowel sound in rain and Spain. They are having the same vowel sound in rain and Spain. So that is an assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sound, while alliteration is the repetition of consonant sound. So alliteration has to do with the initial repetition of consonant sound in any word. Initial, not at the middle, not at the back. Why assonance? Has to do with repetition of vowel sound at the middle. We always have our vowel sound at the middle of any word in English language. We have at the back as well, but here has to do with at the middle. So vowel sound at the middle. So we are having the same vowel sound here. So whenever you come across this type of sentence or any form of sentence in literary work that is having the same vowel sound at the following each other or one another in any given sentence, the same word, like 3 or 4 words or 2 words having the same vowel sound at the middle in any literary work, then we say we have an alliteration. Why consonant sound is when we are having, I'm trying to repeat this so as to make it clear to anyone watching or seeing our channel. So that is it. So the next one we'll take a look at today is number 3, is hyperbole. Hyperbole is hyperbole. People do call this an exaggeration. So it has to do with, and it is an overstatement. So when we are saying a particular thing, a sentence beyond limit, we are saying a word. Now I said last week, we use figures of speech in literature to add aesthetic, to add beauty, to add depth, to add deeper meaning to literary works. So we use this to add depth, to add aesthetic. We use hyperbole to add aesthetic depth to what? To any literary work. When you are saying something beyond limit. So hyperbole has to do with an overstatement. It is an overstatement. Now, it is also known as exaggeration. So when you are exaggerating something, it has to do with when you are saying something beyond limit. So people also call it an overstatement. It can also be called an overstatement. Overstatement. So when we are saying words, we are uttering out utterances beyond limit. Let's take for instance, I have not eaten since morning. Now, looking at the rate or the extent at which I'm hungry, so I now say, I'm hungry presently. Now, because I'm seriously hungry now, so now I claim to finish a mountain of what? A mountain of amala, a mountain of or 1 bag of rice. An example of it is what I've just given. So someone is hungry. Let's say, for instance, now Rachel is hungry. Because of that, she can finish a bag of rice in 10 minutes. Is that possible? It's not. We only say this to tell us how hungry Rachel is, to tell us the extent at which Rachel is what? Is hungry. That is why I said we use this figures of speech in literature to add what? To add depth to our what? To our literary work. So an example is what I've given now. Rachel or any other person is hungry. So you now say, because she's hungry, she has not eaten for a day. Now she can, because of that, she can finish a what? A bag of rice in 10 minutes. It is not possible. Nobody on this earth can finish a bag of rice a day. It's not possible. It's not possible. Another example is this. Let's say we are in a community where we respect our king so much, and the king in that community gives birth to twins. Let's take for instance the king has gotten married for over 20 years. He is unable to give birth to any child, and because of the law we have for the king, after giving birth to the twins, there are many people in the world in the naming ceremony of the world of the children of the twins. So I'm now reporting. I'm saying that there is a particular person that was not present in that particular day, and I want to tell him that there are many people in that particular naming ceremony because of the love people have for the king. And I now decide to say thousands of people were present at the naming ceremony of our king, or the whole community attended the naming ceremony of the king, which is not even possible. The whole community, let's say for instance now, the Olubadan of Ibadan give birth, now claim everybody in Ibadan attended the party. It's not possible. So we are only saying that to tell us that there are many people at the naming ceremony of the king. So that is an exaggeration when we are saying a particular thing beyond limit. So it is an hyperbole. It can also be called an exaggeration. So some people call it an exaggeration. Wherever you hear exaggeration, it also means hyperbole. So that will be the end of our class for this week. As we always say, we want you to like our videos week in, week out. We want you to feel it always. Now, whenever you come across this on your screen, maybe when you are moving, you are trying to scroll up, down your phone, please help us share for other people to benefit. Then most important, please subscribe to our channel so as to help us move to a very higher limit. In what? In delivering this particular class week in, week out. Thank you.